mistake by the NFL. Do we need to go to Brazil to expand the NFL? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, CJ?
No, I just, there is a part of oh man, there is a part of me that really just gets aggravated with this because I just feel like this is just a huge money grab. I mean, I get that football is popular in the United States. I get that the NFL wants to expand and go overseas and go to different countries to promote the NFL, to try to get fans of different ethnic origin to follow the NFL. I get it. I do. But this is asinine. You are literally putting people in a danger zone to promote a product where one of your players could be seriously injured, if not killed. And down here in Brazil, okay, they kidnap people. Guess what? They kidnap people for ransom. Okay? It goes on all over in South America. So it's like whoever it was who thought of this idea probably did not do their homework in regards to this. Because as beautiful as a place as Brazil is, and pictures and so on and so forth, go talk to the people that live there. Go talk to the people that are there day in and day out and see what kind of environment it really is. Because underneath all of the beautiful pictures and the landscapes and so on and so forth, okay, there is a cesspool of crime that is going on there that is completely uncontrolled. So I mean, I may be in the minority on this. It's one thing to go to Europe. It really is. Why? Because back in the early 90s, we had the World League of American Football. Okay, the great experiment that flopped. All right, that's one thing. To go to South America, I mean, we're not talking about Mexico. All right, it's just this to me is nothing more than a money grab. I personally feel like the risk outweighs the reward. Because as a business, okay, put it this way. The NFL is a business, gentlemen, correct? All right, so let's all say we all work for the same business, okay? And let's say our CEO says, hey, Mac, we're going to send you on a business trip to Rio to go talk to this person or this person. Or Keith, we're going to send you to Panama to go talk to this person and this person. Or James, we're going to send you, you know what? We're going to send you to Argentina to go talk to this person and this person. Okay? So the company's going to finance it. Am I going to get protection? What happens if something happens to me? What happens if something happens to one of you guys there? What if James goes to Argentina and he gets kidnapped? And all of a sudden there's videos all over YouTube with you know, 5 guys behind him with like bags over their heads, and somebody's over there standing behind him with a freaking machete at his throat saying, give us $1 million or he's gonna die. You know, in whatever language. Okay? We are just literally seconds from something like that happening. The same thing could happen to Max. The same thing could happen to Keith. The same thing could happen to Mexico. You can get kidnapped by one of the drug cartels.
Well, I'm wearing red.
Because you're American.
CJ, they would probably pay, you know, for me to go. How's that? They would probably end up paying for me to go. And I agree with Danny. Why does James got to go to Argentina? I mean, we'll flip-flop if you want, James.
Why not?
Honestly, though, without and listen, I get it, and I kind of agree with what CJ's saying. But Keith, isn't the NFL one of the most popular, at least the Super Bowl, things around the world anyway? Why do we have to go anywhere?
I don't think we do. I agree with CJ at that point. I mean, listen, they've taken this global expansion. It's not like they're going to put teams there. They talk about this every few years. Oh, maybe we'll put a team there. No, they're never putting a team in Brazil or Germany or England. That's never going to happen. So it's just, again, it is a money grab. They want to go there. They want to sell jerseys. That's what they want to do. And I think CJ might be upset because there's years they probably would have liked it if they sent the Jets there and they're green and they all got kidnapped. He might have been.
Listen, I couldn't be that lucky.
James, not only shirts, I can see them getting some kind of sponsorship, some kind of channel, something down there in Argentina that they'll pay the NFL for. It's all money. It's all business, isn't it, Jay?
I mean, in Brazil, right? There's too big. Everybody thinks
You're going to Argentina.
That's right.
Let's say, look, like Danny Fuller just said, Brazil sells up 800%. The NFL is a marketing machine. You can't tell me they don't have everybody in that department just know everything that's calculated. They have to understand what's going on right there. I think the fact that that everyone's mentioning the danger there brings more attention to the NFL. Is going to bring more attention to this game because people are looking to see if something's going to happen. It's going to bring viewership, and that's going to be internationally. So it's going to bring more money to the NFL. So it's just good publicity, bad publicity. It's all good publicity. It's just going to bring more notoriety to the NFL as if they didn't have enough already. I agree to all of you to an extent that, yes, you are putting players at risk, but the NFL itself stands for not for long. It's a dangerous game in itself. Right. So they're already being put at risk. So I don't think it's a mindset to thinking, okay, there's a chance that we might get hurt. I'm pretty sure they put a lot of things in place to make sure. I mean, what is the NFL worth? I mean, they make 30-something billion a year or something like that. It's a major conglomerate. I don't think that they have enough money and power to make sure that things are going to go right in Brazil. So if they're not worried, I'm definitely not worried. If I'm the players, stay in the hotel, don't go anywhere, just follow the rules and go to Brazil, play your game, come back home.
And who's to
Hanks
say
doesn't have any private security or anything, does he? He seems fine. I mean, yes. If these teams wearing green, I'll bet you we wouldn't even be having a conversation probably if they were wearing blue or purple. This probably never even.
Who's to say something doesn't happen stateside, right? That's a possibility too at any time. So
very good point.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Friday's game. In fact, as far as what you think is who's going to win, who's not going to win, I kind of like the Eagles here. I think just because they're experienced beginning of the season, I think, the Packers have the youngest team in the NFL. I think their average age is like 25-something years old. I still think they're working on things. I think they're going to be good this year. I just think in the beginning, I give it to the experienced team. The team that's been playing long enough together. And, even though the Eagles have added some pieces, most of those are very experienced players too. So I do like the Eagles and given the 2.5, 3 points, whatever it is right now. What do you think, Keith? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm going to take the Packers only because who knows about any one of these teams? I don't know anything about any of these teams because nobody's played in the preseason, basically. Right. It's similar to college last week. It's all crapshoot till you see somebody play. The last picture I have in my head of the Eagles is, the last 2 months of last year, which is very ugly. And I can't get that out of my head because that doesn't go away when all the major players that were involved in this are still there. And for that reason, I think there'll be some hangover and I like the Packers in this game. And it's a good young team.
It's probably going to be very true. And with it being the first game, James, I think it's going to be very sloppy. I think you might see some turnovers. You might see some penalties. That might decide the game. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think it's going to be even more sloppy than the Baltimore Ravens versus the Chiefs, believe it or not.
Mac, that's very fair to say because a lot of the players, like you folks alluded to, didn't play in the preseason. And as you always say, the first 4 or 5 games are pretty much the preseason. And so there's a lot of kinks to to iron out. And I wouldn't be surprised to see turnovers or fumbles, missed calls, and penalties for offsides. Because no one's ironed those details out in preseason as you'd like to see, but it just didn't happen. But I really think that the Eagles, I just like their roster. And I really, regardless of the problems they had at the previous season, last season, I really think they're going to come together. It's going to take time, but I can see the Eagles winning this one due to their experience, as you said. I take the -2.5 as well.
They are a very talented team. I will not deny that, by the way. Very talented team, for sure.
DJ, I would think by the roster alone that you would give the Eagles defense would be a little bit better than the Packers defense, right? Just by last year, I would think the Eagles are a little bit more better on defense. Saquon Barkley versus Jacobs, I think that might be even. The wide receivers, I think you would give the edge to the Eagles just because of A.J. Brown. And in fact, they picked up another receiver. But it as Keith said, I mean, it all depends. Are they going to work together well as a team?
This should be a very interesting litmus test, but I think not really for the Eagles. I think more for the Packers. And I'm very curious to see how Jordan Love comes out and performs, especially against a tough defense like the Eagles. Now, that being said, I feel like a lot of people are overlooking the Packers in this case. And I really don't think that the Packers are a team that can be overlooked anymore. So I definitely expect a very good competitive game. And I think that, believe it or not, if the Eagles can't find a way to work out the kinks, I think the Packers could actually catch the Eagles napping. This is a very, very this is such a wide open game where, I mean, I don't even think the 2 points is enough. I would drop this to a pick 'em personally if it was me. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say the Packers pull off the upset.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I know it's going to be very close, and anything can happen, of course, in the first game. Again, they're not at full strength, and the Eagles, when they are at full strength, is normally in the beginning of the year, as we saw last year, and the Packers are normally at full strength at the end of the year, if you're going to use last year as a gauge. So, Keith, let's talk a little college here. USC, I think, shocked a lot of people because of their defense and their running game. I mean,
poor James.
If you look at LSU, and I am so glad James is not that I don't like LSU. I hate their head coach. I'm sorry. I hate Kelly. I hate what he did to Notre Dame. I hate he went there because he could recruit better and he could get better athletes and all this happy horse shit he said. And right now he hasn't won an opening game since he's been there. So I'm cheering madly for Kelly to lose almost every game he can. Nothing against LSU. All right. So LSU,
as he says that with a grin on his face.
I mean, Kelly slams down his hand. They were celebrating on the sidelines before the game was over. A sloppy play. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm saying, whose fault? Why are you talking about the players? Why can't you say you don't have control over the LSU players? Why don't you look back at yourself, be honest with yourself, and say you can't handle having a big school like that to control? Why don't you just be honest about it, Keith? Moss goes 27 for 36, 378 yards. The running game, I mean, they just tore LSU's defense up, which LSU normally you can't run that good against, right? I mean, it was beautiful to me. I loved it, Sergeant. I loved every second of it. What do you think, Keith?
This has become, Brian Kelly's MO here. They can't win his opening game. They seem to have a big flop the last 4 years he's had it, both at Notre Dame and at LSU. And not that this game's going to matter come the end of the season. If they had the type of season they're capable of having, it could be this game won't mean anything, and it could be USC's not that as good as we saw the other night. But what really impressed me was USC's defense played very well, I think, against a LSU offense that Yeah, they're replacing Heisman Trophy winner, but they have a pretty good quarterback back there. I thought USC played very well. Brian Kelly, that's Brian Kelly. I think he's a good football coach. I think, but you're right. He should say, to me, everything he talked about in that press conference was the coach's issues. If your players are celebrating on the sideline and you don't have them under control, that's a coaching decision or issue. If you're playing sloppy, that's a coaching issue. If you think you got the game in the bag and you don't, they had the game they were in control of that game in the fourth quarter, and they should have won that game.
Oh,
Maybe even by more than by a couple of touchdowns, I think.
Well, at least,
oh my God,
Keith, at least at the end of the game. Let me tell you, I was not in a good mood prior to that, and then just watch that game, and to watch 2nd and 8 with 1 minute and 48 seconds left, you throw the ball. That's not even logical football. I don't understand that, because they only have one timeout left. You run the ball is third at minimum is 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9.
Yep.
In college, they give you what, 40 seconds?
40. Yep.
They give you 40 seconds. What are you doing? You just gave them 2 timeouts. At that point, I knew the game was over.
Players didn't make. By the way, the players didn't make that call either. So come on.
That's on the coach. Yes,
right. He's got it. And I like Brian Kelly, but go up there and take responsibility for why you lost the game. And it was, to me, it's all on the coaches, all of it.
Yes.
CJ, how about you? I mean, who's your favorite college football team? Is it up here in New York area?
No, believe it or not, but actually, when I used to be a Florida Gators fan, I do follow them, but I follow them rather sort of like from a distance. But honestly, I don't have a football team. I'm a graduate of St. John's University that used to have a football team that played in the Liberty Conference, which I think was like all of six teams. So they were never good enough at for Division I football. So my alma mater was basically irrelevant when it came to football. So as far as college is concerned, I'm just starting to be a little bit more entertained, because I kind of look at it as more of the NFL minor leagues than anything.
Well, I mean, it definitely is. That's for sure. You definitely could call it that, and you'd be 100% right. I got 3 games, Keith, I want you guys' opinion on. And, of course, as I told you before, we got that QR code up there. And, we'll go to our expert first, who predicted USC to win a big time there. And we'll see what he's got to say on these 3 games. Appalachian State versus Clemson. Appalachian State getting 17 points, Keith. Can the big school slayer at least keep this game close against Clemson? Will Clemson have a hangover for last week, or they come out and they just go crazy?
This game's at Clemson. I can't believe Clemson's as bad as they looked last week. I mean, they were outclassed in every aspect of the game. They look less athletic. Dabo Sweeney's got some pressure on him just because of his approach to building a team is not keeping up with today's realities. Appalachian State's beat some big time division. Well, they are Division I now. Even when they were 1AA, they were beating 1A teams. So I'll give them a fighting chance. What was the spread in this game?
17 points, Keith.
A lot of points.
I know it's tough.
Clemson's going to win this game, but I would take the points in the Appalachian State here.
Okay.
Clemson
will
win, though.
And I'll get to you at 3 on all 3 picks here. Ole Miss is a new powerhouse. They're using the portal right. They're giving up 40 points to Middle Tennessee, Keith. Should it be 60?
I fell for that trap taking 39.5 with Temple against Oklahoma last week. Mississippi won by 70. I believe they won 70 or 76 to nothing last week. Lane Kiffin's not afraid to keep the gas, the gas to the floor, the pedal to the floor. I'll lay the 40 in this game because they are loaded. And by the way, style points matter. Style points are going to matter for a lot of these teams that aren't going to win the conferences and they're going to be looking for large bids, these style points will matter. So I think they'll absolutely cover that 40.
All right. And the last one is Alabama minus 31 against Southern Florida. Southern Florida has had some good teams in the past, Keith. They've come in, they've competed really well. In fact, they've won their division a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. Are they that good this year?
South Florida gave Alabama all they could handle last year, and it kind of woke up that Nick Saban's last Alabama team. They were pretty good from that point on. Again, these games with these big spreads are going to be important to Kalen DeBoer in his first year here at Alabama before he gets into the heart of that SEC schedule. Let's say Alabama wins this game and covers the spread.
Wow, interesting. I'll have
Milroe, the quarterback Milroe is built for Kalen DeBoer's offense. He's going to be better than he ever was under Nick Saban. Not because DeBoer's a better coach, just this system fits Milroe perfectly. I think they'll win by a lot.
Well, I'll have 3 more games for you on Friday. Of course, the big one I'll have for you on Friday, and we all know what the big game is going to be on Saturday, the biggest game of on the Saturday schedule. Anyway, James, any different thoughts here? I mean, as Keith said, and I love Appalachian State because they're a very competitive game. They'll play anybody tough. They might beat you with a field goal late if you're not awake. And to me, Clemson, I mean, listen, Clemson is doing it all wrong. If Clemson gets upset, I don't know what's going to happen over there with their head coach. I have good feeling about Appalachian State here with those points.
I don't think Appalachian State is going to win the game. I think Clemson's going to bounce back and win that game, but I don't give them the points. I think the game is going to be a little closer than people think. I think it'll be a little closer, but I can't say Clemson's gonna lose that one, man.
All right, so
no upset there, but they don't cover.
You're gonna take the points, okay? And are you with Keith about with Ole Miss? Ole Miss is just a powerhouse this year. I mean, I
think Ole Miss is definitely gonna cover that for sure.
How about your thoughts on South Florida? Can they?
This is where I have to disagree with Keith. I don't know. 31 is a lot, man. For South Florida, we'll see. I don't think they're going to cover, but I think that Alabama's going to win that game for sure. Yeah.
All right.
I don't think they're going to cover 31.
So CJ, I know you're looking at the college football as a minor league. So I'm going to first go with this comment to you. I don't know if you saw the interview with Stephen A. Smith and Tom Brady, and Tom Brady has books and binders of every game from every year that he played since he was in football, with the game plan and the notes and the preparation. It's all there. He can go back and look at it anytime he wants. Tom Brady came out and said, "Hey, listen, the problem starting a rookie quarterback, and most from his generation, around that generation, didn't start opening game." And he said the problem with that is that a rookie quarterback cannot understand how complicated the offensive game plan is, how complicated the defenses are up against them. So what they do is they dumb down the offense. And the quarterback that goes out there, the rookie quarterback that goes out there, doesn't know how to call an audible. Most times he doesn't even call a timeout. And he ends up running the play anyway. And he either gets sacked, or it's a bad throw, or it's an interception. So this is why he has a problem with rookie quarterbacks starting. Now, C.J. Stroud's an exception because you saw what he did last year. But he's saying the majority of the time, it's a real bad idea to start the rookie quarterbacks. That causes their downfall.
It's absolutely a bad idea to start a rookie quarterback, especially when a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that are being picked in the first round, especially high up in the first round, you have teams that just got off an absolutely abysmal season. So that there's already personnel issues, whether it be offensive line, defensive line, whether it be secondary, whether it be the running game, skill position players. Starting a rookie quarterback, you're essentially just setting them up to fail. And I personally think that rookie quarterbacks should not start in the NFL for at least the first year. I think their first year when you go in, you should go, sit, red shirt, hold a clipboard, watch tape, and learn the game. Because if you don't, you're going to go out there and your head's going to be swimming.
Listen, Keith. CJ, I agree with you for the most part. If there's an emergency, Keith, if the starting quarterback gets hurt, like with Tom Brady, he had to go in for Drew Bledsoe, and that's fine. I mean, and he learned a lot then. But the offense was second year, right? And the offense was kind of dumbed down for him. I mean, he didn't run all the plays that they could have run according to himself. I mean, until he learned, what the preparation was. Again, CJ Stroud, a different story. Maybe he learns faster. I don't know what happened with CJ Stroud. But for the most part, even if you look Dan Marino, you look at I think Don Strock was a starter then. Joe Montana, Steve DeBerg was a starter then. I mean, you could go down the list of all these great quarterbacks that at least, didn't take over until something happened or the second, third year.
Well, it's not like every quarterback. I mean, Andrew Luck, I think, came in and threw for like 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, and they went to the playoffs in his rookie year. So it's not everyone. Cam Newton had a good first year. Ben Roethlisberger had a good first year. Ben Marino played in his rookie year. He played 11 or 12 games, so they benched the starter. So they didn't start the season. I don't think it's necessary that a rookie, it all depends on the situation, has to sit out his first year. Now, the instances I just gave, those teams are pretty good football teams too. To CJ's point, Drake May for the Patriots needs to sit. He was the best quarterback by the end of camp. There should be no choice for him to play, no consideration for him to play behind that awful offensive line. You just set him up to fail. So it all depends on the situation. There are situations where quarterbacks can play, if not out of the gate, then early in their first season. But for the most part, if they're going to be on a bad team, they're right. You're better off carrying the clipboard around. Don't get yourself killed out there. Don't lose your confidence, and just wait your turn. And you'd probably be better off, except for, again, a handful of exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the great Patrick Mahomes, I mean, Alex Smith had a playoff team. He sat and he watched for a year, even though, maybe Patrick Mahomes could have done it. James, I just think there's something, and especially coming from Tom Brady, that makes a lot of sense. Because Keith can name some quarterbacks that maybe had a good rookie year and then fell back. Right. Or that started out. I'll give you a great example. Kurt Warner, they put in Eli Manning halfway through the season. It was a disaster. Mac Jones had a good first year. Second year, a disaster. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with coaching. And I think he's got a great point that they have to be on a good team. But even with that, you can, again, Patrick Mahomes, you can look at Aaron Rodgers, you can look at a lot of players that didn't start right away.
I mean, there's several variables that come into factor. I mean, like you said, you have a good coach, you have a good organization, the structured organization, leadership. You got veterans on the team that really know how to coach up people that are like junior coaches on the field, on generals that have taken the quarterback under his wing, maybe a backup quarterback, a veteran quarterback that has been in the game a long time, that's not afraid to say, hey, you're the one, you beat me on this job, but I'm going to show you some things that I've learned here that you don't know. You're not going to know little nuances that you're not going to know that I'm going to teach you to guide you along. That's not always there for everybody. Sometimes these guys get thrown in the fire, and most guys that are picked high usually go to really crappy teams, and so they get put in a situation where they're in a no-win situation. Like you said, the situation in Houston, that's the exception, not the rule. You really don't see that.
I kept this comment up by Scott because this is exactly what Tom Brady was talking about. The reason why a lot of these young rookie quarterbacks get sacked, let's stop blaming the offensive line because they're holding the ball on too long.
Well,
they're trying to make a play because the guy's not open. So they didn't change the play. They called the play right into the teeth of the defense. So now he's standing there and he's holding the ball for 4 or 5 seconds. And he said, and what Tom Brady says is, we got to stop blaming the offensive line so much and start blaming the quarterbacks.
I will tell you my comments about the Patriot offensive line stand. That is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen, by the way. So that one is bad.
Yes. And you've seen a lot. You've seen a lot
By the way, about Eli Manning falling backwards, I wish he fell a little further backwards back when.
Well,
In 2007, you mean?
7 and 12, yes.
Yes.
Real quick, we ain't got a lot of time. We got about 4 minutes before Keith takes off and does his show right after us, the college football huddle, which is a great show, folks. Stay tuned on Roku after that. A couple comments. Phillies with Schwarber hits 3 home runs. The Phillies, listen, a lead is not safe with the Phillies. The Phillies are going to come back and get you. You got to have good pitching to beat the Phillies. I think that's pretty simple. Clay Holmes is I don't know if we can depend on him to be a closer for the Yankees. I mean, he falls apart. This happens to the Yankees bullpen every year. And what else we got here? Arizona still keeping pace with the Dodgers. Any comments on that at all, guys?
I'm afraid to say anything about the Yankees anymore. I don't want to lose my card again. Jesus. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the problems, the Yankees have the same problem going into the postseason as they've had for the last 5 or 6 years, right? The back end of the bullpen is spotty at best. They don't score runs unless they're hitting home runs, and they've got 2 guys that are carrying the entire offense, and I wouldn't pitch to either one of them in a postseason. And listen, the Diamondbacks are playing great baseball. They're fun to watch, by the way, because to me, they play a little bit more. They know how to score runs without hitting home runs. That's why I liked them last year. They were fun to watch. And they play good. They play good fundamental baseball, and they're trying to chase the Dodgers down, but I don't think they will. But they'll be dangerous in the postseason for sure.
I agree. CJ, James, any thoughts? No. All right. Good. That was simple. Folks, of course.
Keith said it all.
Of course, we have Keith on after this. Stay with Roku. Just channel search. Go to your Roku TV channel search National Streaming Sports, and you'll see Keith coming up next, and we'll have a bunch of shows after this. And also, listen, Sunday we have the big football show. We're going to have live games. We also have a new show at 7 p.m. called NFL Download, where we're going to be covering all the games that happened in the Sunday night game. And it's going to be a lot of fun, folks. So we're going to give you the best shows we can at the most times we can, all day, all night, every day, 24/7. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the views. Everyone have a great Wednesday night. And remember, stay with Roku. Take care, folks.